Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today we're going to talk about Doctor Who animations. I'm going to catch up on some news I couldn't report on since I was sick over the past week. And we're going to talk about news that came out at the BFI screening of The Savages that more animations were hopefully coming. They hadn't quite signed a deal, but things were looking good that they would be working on more animations and that they would hopefully be doing a bunch more animations. Now, I am on the Doctor Who merchandise forum here, and I have a quote. Well, I shouldn't say quote, but here's a post from Gordon. Gordon is like this guy. He always has his ear to the ground. He's always coming up with these wonderful nuggets. He pays attention to what goes on everywhere, and he's very good at posting relevant and important info. Somebody asked, first off, they asked, the box sets. He was addressing the box sets release order and what the next one were. Someone asked. And then he said 13 and then 21, I got told the other day, going by what was said at the BFI screening of The Savages regarding the future of animations. I'm expecting 11 and 16 being the ones after that. By the sound of things, the 60s are being left to last, which I think is a good point. We will be discussing that further as well. For those unaware of the events at the BFI, long story short, they are in early discussions for the next animation. Once discussions have been completed, it will be roughly a year or so for the next one. Previously, when things were commissioned, it was one at a time, and they would wait until it was out before starting on the next one. However, going forward, they had plans to accelerate the releases by commissioning multiple titles at once, and when one finishes, the next one immediately begins. It was also mentioned by executive producer Paul Himberry that future animations could instead form part of a season box set. That's exactly the approach they're taking. Now, that line was mangled. They will be getting their standalone releases first. However, I do think there will still be standalone releases for those that don't get collections. Now, it is clarified later. Here we go. I believe Gordon mentions it here. It's possible the new discussions will involve the BBC investing more and more regular and constant funding. So depending on how much the investment is, they could potentially get another separate team commissioned to do master plan, possibly having multiple teams working on animations. Maybe as part of a batch with Mythmaker, Mission, and Massacre. It was Radio Times that mentioned the quote having them feature in a box set, and I've been told that wasn't what he said. Because, of course, they have to have their standalone release first. They have to recoup their money for that. They will be getting a standalone release first, but they will also be included in a box set. It will still be a standalone release first, but I'm not ruling out the possibility of a same day or close to it as a part of a season set. I personally think they would get their standalone release first, and then have its time to shine in the sun before a relevant box set comes out. However, the box sets are absolutely a factor now on what titles are chosen. Going by this, I now suspect the next couple will be Wheel and Space Pirates, maybe in the same commission. That is an interesting news, finding out that the box sets are a factor on what titles are chosen now. Because years ago, of course, they said that wasn't. Years back at this point. Like 2019 or so. But now the box sets are absolutely a factor on what titles being chosen. And we do have multiple sets that only need one animation. Season 1 only needs Marco Polo, which is, of course, far harder to do, with seasons 5 and 6 only needing Wheel and Space Pirates, respectively. Those being easier to do animations relative to the ones that are left. Well, of course, the historicals being much harder to do, Master Plan being hard to do just because of its length. That Space Pirates and Wheel would probably be easier once I could see them being commissioned together, and you would finish off 5 and 6. That's nice news to hear that the animations, while they don't quite have an agreement in place, signed yet, that they are working towards that. Hopefully we'll have some good news on that soon, and that if that agreement goes forward from what we're hearing, we will be getting multiple stories, perhaps working on multiple stories at once. They will be commissioned in batches. Again, probably Space Pirates and Wheel together. That makes sense. And then possibly some like Master Plan, Mission to the Unknown, Massacre, and Mythmakers possibly being commissioned together, which of course would be all we need left for season 3 at this point. Exciting news, very exciting news, very fired up about that. I think the question we have to come to next is, how do you feel if they decide to save the remaining 5 60 sets to be the last 5 sets? Like the next 4 sets would be the 4 remaining color sets that we would get, 13, 21, 11, and 16 next, before we get any more 60 sets. How do you feel about this, all 5 of the remaining 60 sets being left to last? Which of course means having to wait a few more years before we get any Trouton. Naturally, I'd love to get a Trouton sooner, but I think at this point I would be okay with that, because I want the 60 sets to be the best they can. I want to get the best value for my money. And keeping in mind, it's not just the junking policy and the missing episodes policy doesn't just affect the actual missing episodes. Let's keep in mind that even the surviving episodes from the 60s aren't mostly in their original format, aside from the few that were actually recorded, sourced out onto film, the 35 millimeter film. Most of them exist as either 35 millimeter telerecordings, the ones that were sourced out originally onto film, or 16 millimeter telerecordings from the original video masters. None of the 60s video masters exist. None of the 60s stories exist on their original video master tapes. None, not one. The very first video master to exist is Ambassadors of Death Episode 1. So the junking policy affects even the surviving episodes, and keeping in mind that a lot of the existing episodes we have, at one point we didn't. They've been recovered from all of these different sources over the decades, and okay, let's drive home the point there. And they were found and are in various states of quality. Famously, of course, episode 1 of The Crusade, The Lion, wasn't exactly in pristine condition when it was found. As a matter of fact, the season 2 version of it was the old 1999 digital master of it. They didn't go and rescan it because, one, I believe it's in America. I believe that the existing film copy of it's in America, and they probably figured it may have degraded more in the 20 years since it was originally scanned. So they used the old scan of it. That's not a fresh scan they used of it. And there other episodes are like that too. While some episodes were found in relatively good condition, other episodes were found in not as good condition. So there is a lot of work you have to do just on these surviving 60s episodes. And keeping in mind that these 60 seasons had so many episodes. So especially the seasons that are less affected by missing episodes, season 1, season 6, season 1 and season 6 especially, which have most of their episodes intact, are going to need a lot of restoration work. Season 5, of course, I believe has 22 episodes. I think some of season 5 has already been remastered for Blu-ray, so they're ahead of the game on some of those. But that's still several episodes from at least 2 of those seasons that are going to need a lot of work done. I'm sure even the surviving episodes from seasons 3, 4, and 5, of course, are going to need work done for a lot of those. If not, not all of them, obviously. Some of them have had restoration work done for standalone releases, like I think Enemy of the World, Web of Fear have already been remastered for Blu-ray, I believe. And then, of course, waiting for the animations, trying to fill out those missing slots as much as we can, now that we know that animations are going to affect the collection range and how those sets are done. Holding those 60 sets toward the end with them banking material ahead of time. We do know they're banking material. I believe Fraser Hines has said he's already done them behind the sofa for the mine robber. It's very possible. One, they're just banking stuff because most of the people who are involved with these seasons at this point, well, all of the people who are still around aren't spring chickens, let us say. So they're banking material with them, which is great. And I can understand that. I'm convinced a Trouton season was probably supposed to come out sooner, but that they've reorganized the list to accommodate, obviously, changes. Um, I'm okay with that. I mean, naturally, I want a Trouton on the shelf. It looks weird not having a Trouton on the shelf. Trouton is my second favorite Doctor. I absolutely adore the second Doctor. So, of course, I want a Trouton on the shelf. But if waiting longer gets me a better version of this set, I'm willing to wait longer. Just hurry up, animate Wheel in Space, although technically it's already got a fantastic animation. Shout out to Tardis Time Girl for that. And I've been fine with them using that animation personally. And animate Space Pirates, which I think will do a lot for Space Pirates, as I think it's a very visual story. So I think that's the other big thing we have to talk about is how do you feel about having to wait to get any more 60s sets? Are you okay with having to wait another maybe 3 years, 4 years to get a second Doctor set while they continue releasing the remaining 4 color seasons? Basically, one, to get us more collection sets, and two, to buy them time to get more work done on those 60 seasons so they can be the best they could possibly be. Comment down below. That strikes me as a fantastic community discussion, and let me know your thoughts on that. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. How do you feel about the animations continuing? I'm super excited. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down there as well. Check that out. Several different tiers there to choose from. I want to give a shout out to a few of my top tier patrons, Sam Venning, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons and my YouTube members. I also have a P.O. box as well. Check that out. I love getting fan mail. That's in the description. I have a link to my Amazon wish list down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is also down there. All that fun stuff as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching. Where's the button? There's the button.